没有走完的路不会是终点，故事的走向是自己选择的坚持。
这个故事的开头还算不错，相信过程，相信自己走过的路。
那些最激动人心的冒险，从来不是单枪匹马的挑战。
과거는 잊으세요. 내일이 새로운 시작입니다. 내 경기가 새로운 도전입니다.
我们愿意为胜利付出许多代价，改变只是其中之一。
어떤 사람이든 현재에 만족하지 않고 어떠한 사람이든 제자리 걸음을 하지 않는다.
过去的荣耀就存留在记忆中，这一抹红色要照亮未来。
为之付出的心血越多，收获的果实才越甘甜。
赛场上的事怎能尽如人意？我只想追求无愧于心。
保持微笑，胜利总会断故里。
在尝过赢得一切的滋味之后，你绝对不会甘心做第二名。
尖矛和利刃是勇者的武器，也有最坚硬的盾和扬起风帆的大旗。
如果翻不过这座山， 他们就听不到你的故事。
这个故事的结局将由我们来谱写。为了无悔，为了胜利，为了站在世界这边。
Hard to believe, but week 5 is already upon us. We are approaching the halfway mark of the summer split. And in just a few weeks, we could very well be approaching playoffs and worlds beyond that. So quickly, we've watched our teams grow up and change, try to evolve and challenge their opponents. LGD in their home arena are doing that same exact thing today as they are looking for their second series win here in the summer split, hopefully in cross-conference so that they can start trying to take some wins and chase down a playoff spot themselves. That said, their opponents, TOP on the other side, with one more series victory, they will have made more progress in 5 weeks than they did in the entire spring split. So hopes to them that they can take the win. But welcome everyone, my name is Dom. Joining me here on the desk today is Clement Chu.
Hello everyone, and we're halfway through the split already. I can't really believe it. It just seemed like yesterday that we started.
Yeah, and now we're already halfway through. Let's actually take a look at the standings and see what that exactly means for everyone, because again, there's a lot that's happened. RNG, as expected, of the best team in the world right now, are 7-1.
Yeah, we definitely still have the same top teams. All our Rift Rivals representatives are still doing very good in the LPL. But I want to look at the surprising parties. TOP sitting 3-4 and being in that playoff contention in the Western Conference. And then, of course, the more disappointing factors, LGD still at the bottom, WE still at the bottom.
Yeah, we're looking to see those teams grow and try to challenge their opponents. Of course, we'll get the chance to see BLG versus Snake later today. And like you already said, LGD at the bottom of their conference. They're playing in their hometown arena today, so that should give them a bit of a boost in terms of that fan count. But also, they're playing against TOP, a team that has slowly but surely been climbing up from the dredges of the bottom of the LPL.
Yeah, no one really expected it, but the move to the Western Conference has helped TOP quite a bit, and they're not playing Marin still, so doing it on the strength of their Chinese roster.
Yeah, and it's given them a lot of wins. If they can continue to find that communication should get better and better. Of course, here is the format of the LPL split for those of you who are unfamiliar. We run with 3 weeks of intra-conference play, a single round robin. Then all 7 teams split into 2 conferences. We'll play a single round robin against each other for 7 best-of-3s per team. Finally, we go back into the double round robin with our intra-conference round 2.
In short, this is the only time that we're going to see teams from the West face teams from the East. And that's the big excitement party, because a lot of our Rift Rivals teams this time around are actually split evenly across the 2 conferences.
Yeah, and those matchups look to be a lot of fun to see these teams go head-to-head, but it's more for us than we're just having this unique tournament format to show off and get all these teams the chance to play against each other. This has a lot of impact on the standings, and more importantly, how these teams seed into playoffs as well. Clement, why don't you break it down for me?
All right, the big thing, the reason we have 2 conferences is really to cut the teams, to cut the number of games down, because we are looking at 540 plus games if we didn't have split the conferences, and now we're at a more manageable 399.
Yeah.
Still a lot of games to go
and
through.
again, if we had 14 teams in one group doing a double round robin, that's where we get 540 max potential games played. And with this intra-conference play, like you said, we're down to 399. But as we get into this obviously has to benefit one of these two groups more than the other, because we can't perfectly balance these groups as much as we'd like to.
Yeah, exactly. And whenever you have two sides, you have a stronger side and a weaker side. And just like in Worlds, the Eastern Conference is much, much stronger. In fact, it's about 61 to only 39% in terms of the win rate. That's a match series score we're seeing on the screen right now. 30 match wins compared to 19 wins from the Western Conference. And it's so top heavy for the East. Our three Rift Rivals representatives, RNG, IG, and Rogue Warriors, went undefeated against the Western Conference, going a combined 21-0.
Yeah, adding a lot of those wins to the Eastern Conference block. Hopefully they can continue to try to do that. But of course, there are teams that also benefit from this more so than just that. Obviously, those top three are big, but being able to take wins in these non-zero-sum games, or sorry, zero-sum games, I suppose, has to benefit some teams more than the others.
Yep, and now we have to talk about the teams that didn't move from the Eastern Conference over to the Western Conference. These are the teams that really found themselves in a much better spot come the summer split, and we're talking about TOP and Rogue Warriors so far. We sat down and talked to Steak, and he said the happiest thing that he found out about summer was that they were moving into the Western Conference. It was like a bunch of high schoolers going up and beating up on kindergartners, and they started the split 5-0.
Yeah.
TOP, again, did not do so hot in the Eastern Conference. They move over to the West, and they instantly become a playoff team. So I think it's pretty clear that what we're setting up here, East is much, much stronger than the West, and it has been for quite some time.
Yeah, and of course, you can already see the balance on the other side of that. The teams that did get moved into the East are starting to suffer, looking at BLG and VG.
Yep, BLG, when they put together Chieftain and Mulv, they went 5-1 in their own conference, one of the highest win rate teams. They moved to the East, and they're 1-5 to start. So again, the difficulty in going up in the Eastern Conference is really hammering some of these middle-level teams, and you're looking like teams like maybe Suning, who are unfortunately maybe going to miss playoffs because of the different playing field in the two conferences.
Well, now that's why we do have cross-conference play, so that they can try to take some wins here and get further up in the standings. Now, of course, we do have a quick illustration to show you what happens if we eliminate cross-conference entirely, and what better way to do it than with Royal Never Give Up, the team that everyone knows right now. And if you look at those numbers correctly, they went 5-7 inside of their own conference in the spring split.
Yeah, exactly. If you take away cross-conference, the shocking thing is that RNG would not even be a playoff team. JD Gaming and SNG would have overtaken them. So it's really important to get your points up. And the reason for this is that when you play within your own conference, it's a zero-sum game. If there's a strong head-to-head matchup like JD Gaming, their Kryptonite, you lose one, they go up one. It's very hard to overtake them in the standings. But if you're playing against someone from another conference, that actually doesn't factor into the playoff score. You can only get into playoffs by ranking in the top 4 within your own conference. So that's a very important thing to notice. And to boil it down, cross-conference is time for teams to get over teams that are their kryptonite.
Yeah. Just
like JD Gaming. 2-0 against RNG inside their own conference, but because of the cross-conference difference in their score, where JD Gaming only went 2-5, they actually fell down to RNG.
Yeah, and again, this is where you get to dodge those difficult matchups. RNG, they were 0-2 against JD, and then they just went 7-0 in cross-conference. So again, that was the example that we've got for you. There are still plenty of other teams that you could look at who need to start trying to take wins if they want to chase down those playoff spot. LGD still has a chance to make it into playoffs, no matter how difficult that conference is. If they go 6-0 now, that they have already dropped their first game in cross-conference, that's a lot of points in the standings.
Yeah, but I want to say tough luck for LGD because they're still our only team in the LPL to get all killed by the opponent conference.
Yes.
They went 0-7 last time. So even going up against the weaker Western Conference, they don't have a stellar track record, and that's something that they're going to be looking to change.
So then let's actually get into this matchup for LGD versus TOP, because again, they're playing in the home arena now. They've got the fans in the crowd in front of them. They seem to be going back to basics with this team, and they have got the opportunity to try something a little bit new against TOP, but we've got to take a look at the lineup so that we can see what that new thing is going to be, because again, their solo lanes are looking good. Yuki is doing fine in the mid lane. They've got Y4 and Jino on the other side. Of course, challenging them though is TOP. Lies, XX, Gung, Chocho, and Cat.
Gu again stepping back into the roster, has a wider champion pool. Aurelion Sol, to note, is kind of his stellar pick that he does differ from Korn.
And he will be trying to bring down the LGD roster, the Dragons themselves, if he gets to use his own Celestial Star Dragon. But this is what I want to look at right here. Yes, you've got the solo lanes doing good, but that is a new jungler. Jinwoo regang Yuki, Y4, and PYL holding up the bottom.
Amy stepping down from the starting roster and reganked a Korean import that we've seen play on Griffin, the Griffin that's holding #1 spot in the LCK currently. Unfortunately, he only played 2 games on that squad, and then he came over to LGD during May. This will be his debut in the LPL.
Yes, previously known as Gangster, I believe. So we'll have to see if he's able to take these wins. But again, to get back to these solo lanes, suddenly you pair up a Korean jungler with your Korean top laner, Jinwoo, who's such a powerhouse. You keep Yuki on something safe like that, Zoe or Aurelia in the mid lane, and then put a Y4 on whatever Y4 wants to carry with. Again, substitute behind Uzi for Royal Never Give Up. You look at all of these names, and on paper, it looks like a good team.
Yeah, LGD, I think they have one of the strongest rosters overall. If you think about them compared to BLG or even TOP, you would most likely pick this roster based on its strength to do better than these squads. Where they really failed has been after the laning phase. If you look at their drafts, they don't really have a coherent answer in what they're really picking. Most of the times it's, hey, let's give the counter pick to Yuki and hope he carries us throughout the entire game. So I really want to see more refinement coming out from LGD, a later game strategy, a mid-game strategy perhaps.
I mean, now's the time, right? It is cross-conference for the team, and if they want to take that win in a non-zero-sum game, now is the time to do it. That said, our casters are now ready to get us into this game 1 between TOP and LGD.
不破不立，只有经历巨变，老干爹才能重获新生。
Thank you, Mr. Dominic Roma. My name's Paul Stan with my fellow street magician, Indiana Frostgurian Black. How are you today, Indiana?
Is it because I look like a street oh, man.
You could be a musician or a magician.
Magician,
in fact, we can
musician.
be both of those things. You just need to pick one. Which one do you want to be?
I'll be a musician.
All right, there you go. So maybe we can put the magic back into these two teams here, and specifically LGD, that are going to be in their home arena here today against TOP. Now, TOP definitely on the upswing. It feels like before they didn't really have anything. Now that they have the ice and they can mold something from it, but they're not really sure what they're doing with it just yet. On the opposite side, LGD just trying to find that former glory that the team used to have.
I'm done with the former glory. I think that's a dead horse narrative that is just going to be put to bed.
All right, what's new for us?
They don't have any glory. The thing is that this roster, this iteration of these players have never really achieved anything. So we need to stop holding them accountable to the 2015 expectations and say, at this point, you had a good pre-15 minutes the last time we saw you. Now let's look at that 15 to 25 minute mark. Just one step at a time, chaining the fundamentals together.
That's fair, and maybe Regank will have a say about that one as we get into champion select. It will be Aurelia, Talon, and Tamkench being taken away by TOP. LGD will remove the Zoe, Aatrox, and of course the Gragas away from the table, meaning will be a first pick of the Swain. No Talia to be seen here today by TOP.
But we've seen Swain be the priority pick, even when Talia is left open, which she is being left open a lot more than global standards. She's pretty much the permaban from red side everywhere else but in the LPL, and maybe that speaks something to our junglers. Maybe it speaks to the fact that she's getting flexed all over the place, or maybe it speaks that we just have so many great ADCs that we need to have that Swain in the bot lane to make sure that we don't have standard lanes.
Maybe, and a pick that we have been seeing coming back very recently is the Kindred coming into the jungle. Now, it's the first time I'm going to be getting to cast as Kindred, but it will be our 4th one of the LPL so far for us.
And I feel like the Kindred, we saw it at Rift Rivals in Score's hand, does really well, is dueling, especially if you have the Scuttle Crab and then you get the Kindred marks on top of the Scuttle Crab. Yep. The ability to just kind of RNG springboard yourself into hyper relevance is really beautiful. If you funnel gold onto her, she's a very potent and powerful champion. But I feel like what she really excels in is denying a lot of these assassin picks like the Nocturne, which Nocturne was left open through the ban. So if you grab the Kindred, you're basically saying, if you pick the Nocturne, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, very good in that matchup, of course. And Morgana was also picked up by LGD. On the opposite side, TOP will lock them themselves very early Darius, something that will dissuade some of the matchups in the top lane and the mid lane. And there is the tier at the end of the day as well. So while not a first pick, still a very high priority for these two teams. And that is an Orianna, our 3rd one of the LPL this split.
Yeah, and reminder, it is 8-13, so Orianna did get some love back to her command. What, Dissonance?
Dissonance?
W.
Yes.
I made a hand motion and it was the...
I got it, yeah, it was the dissonance.
It was the twist. And essentially essentially what that means is while she's still going to put points into her Q for her command attack, which means that her damage is still going to be high, just a little bit of extra trading power as well as pushing power because that cooldown is lower.
I appreciate you getting some of the skill names out there. That's very new for me. Usually color casters don't give it to me like
hit
this.
the Q and the W and just smack your buttons.
Yeah, there you go. ENR. That's the rest of them. LGD are going to take away that Nocturne, so even though they do have that Kindred, they will be taking that one away. LeBlanc will be removed, however, from LGD.
And
just in case.
It's because they recognize that Y4 is the primary guy who's been playing the Orianna down into that bot lane. I think what they're suspecting is that while that Taliyah is still a very strong flex pick for the jungle, mid, and ADC position, if it does slot down into Choo-Choo's hands, you have Orianna there to say, okay, we can match this wave push, because that's very similar to what she does. It's like running a Taliyah or a Zoe in that bottom lane.
100%. Camille will be the final ban there from LGD. Going to remove that from a potential carry role in the form of XX or Lies. XX absolutely been stepping up this split as well. We'd have to expect he would also have the backup of Taliyah. So he's going to be fine either way. And TOP are going to take away Kennen as their final ban.
Kind of tells me that Darius is probably going to slot up into the top side. It was something that Jinnu, flashed a little bit. It's also a signature pick for him, both the AP and AD Kennen. So I like the respect that's being paid to a lot of LGD's rising stars.
I do too. That being said, there's a lot in the top lane that, that Jinnu can bring up there. Jinnu is historically a very big carry player, and there are very good answers into Darius to do so in the top lane if he wants to, though Ornn has just been locked in here from LGD.
And also on 8-13, Ornn did get a little bit of power taken away from him, some of his flame breath specifically, but ultimately he still is a god in that top lane. We saw Let Me really flex on the champion yesterday, and when you give LGD a very basic composition where they just need that hard engage button, I'd like to see it in Jinnu's hands, and that's exactly what they got.
That would be nice, given something that really just want to get out of laning phase, get towards those team fights. Now TOP were toying with the idea of the Blood Harbor Ripper, but actually decided to move towards Trundle in the end. So again, could go into the jungle, could go top lane.
Does kind of tell me that it's probably either going to be Goon's Taliyah or Choo-Choo's Taliyah. I like Goon on Taliyah just because he has a limited effective champion pool, so things like the Aurelian Soul that Clement mentioned on the desk, Taliyah very much fits into that wheelhouse, but I just have an inkling that it's not going to go there. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Flex
man,
picks
I think I just heard Clement off in the distance. That's going to be a Kled coming in at the very end from TOP. A very reminiscent draft of actually Rogue Warriors in the end as well, because it will come at the end of the draft, amplifying a very close range composition that TOP have picked up for themselves.
You just have no idea where anything's going to go. The one combination that I will point out is that you do have a lot of hard CC in tandem with the Trundle jungle, which is probably the only one that I think is permanently locked in. Speaking of Kled, we also have a Zed.
All right, okay. I'm feeling it. This is our first one of the LPL this split. It will go into Yuki's hands. Now, okay, Zed. I mean, we've had your partner in crime, Talon, come up into the mid lane.
Where's everything going?
I don't know, Frost. You got 15 seconds. I was just planning on ignoring it until the 20-second mark, and then claiming like I knew everything was going to go in the right places all along.
Taliyah went to the jungle anyway.
Yes, she did, and it looks like a potential Trundle. And so I'm not going to talk about it. On the opposite side, we have this Zed in the mid lane. Now, it would actually be really nice to flex the Kled into that mid lane there to try and do some damage.
And that's exactly what we're going to see now. Doinby, of course, made the splash with the Kled at Rift Rivals. Since then, we've started to see it leaking over. It appeared in the MVP versus BBQ series just the other day in the LCK. Not to a lot of success. FLICKR has also been spamming it in solo queue, just trying to get this champion to work, but it feels like Doinby is still just the master of Kled.
I mean, this is something special about how Doinby plays the game, and I think there's some picks that will only truly work for Doinby and how he plays these champions. I mean, Iceborne Gauntlet Victor, I don't think anyone else in the world is going to have a knockout performance with that one, whereas you have this Kled at the same time. It makes sense in all these different compositions. Hey, we just saw TOP just draft it perfectly as well. Can they execute? That is the next question.
And the idea, of course, is that as we're paying attention to the Kled, the difference between the good Kleds and the great Kleds is how they work with Skarl. It's very similar to Rumble mechanics in a sense of how you're keeping track of your heat. I feel like we have 3 really good Kled players in the LPL, so we're going to see if Goon's going to join them today.
Who are the 3? Because I know Doinby.
Gimgoon. Doinby.
Oh, I'm feeling it. Okay.
Yeah, Gimgoon is a great Kled player.
He is.
Do you know who the last one is?
No. Who is it?
It's a mid laner.
It's a mid laner. Don't put me on the spot like this.
No, it's fine. We'll see him later today.
Okay, all right. That's fair, because the reason why I was like, because I want to say Game because he was like the OG Kled, right? Like, he was the first person to bring it into the top lane, but
he was the first person to bring it into the LPL.
But it's still in the top lane, and that's my problem with it, Frost, because he has bad matchups into bruisers, into tanks. If you put Gimgoon in the mid lane, that's what I'm talking about. Then he can actually do something into some of these carries.
Well, we're going to see how his matchup's going to go into Zed now. I have a feeling that Yuki LGD had a good read that it was going to be the Kled that would come in. It feels like both these teams could scout each other out, knew what was going to happen despite all the flex picks. So Yuki, you threw down the gauntlet, you've been our assassin player, you're now on the rise, and you have the potential to show off today.
We'll see if they can make it happen in LGD's home arena, nonetheless. I'm going to hand it over to Hongzhou.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Hold on, guys. Yeah, there's got some action happening in the river right now. Flash away by XX. A flash jump over PYL. He's going to secure that kill. And it's a full-on frenzy at level 1. Goong walks in, but actually thinks better of it because that was Ally is locked down. Goodbye, Lions. That's going to be a 2-0. LGD started off strong.
You know, I came in not knowing what to expect, looking at these teams like, gotta play all the bottom teams today. Of course, it's trash day in the LPL. Sometimes you just gotta take it out to the curb. But already, I'm much more excited. We're only a minute and 20 seconds into this game. We've had 2 kills go down. I'm buckled up. I'm in this roller coaster. I'm ready for the drop.
I'll be honest, this is more than most of the LCK versus LMS games I saw at Rift Rivals by about 20 to 30 minutes. So I'm pretty happy with this one. 2-0 feels good. Where did the kills go, though? That's the question. Jinny wins for the top lane and PYL on the bottom.
Now, the big thing to keep track of course, is that PYL got the kills, hasn't been able to spin the gold, but then what will that translate in terms of having extra gold onto your support? And most importantly, that he doesn't have access to those summoner spells, particularly the Flash, which is why XX's immediate response is level 2 gank.
Looking towards the bottom lane. That's going to be the never move hitting, and PYL will pay for it with his life. Cat actually the one to pick up the kill.
And that's just classic PYL. He does this all the time. The fact of the matter is that they have trinkets available. They walk down through that river. They could have warded themselves, especially on Orianna Morgana, who are going to have the push in the lane. But like, nah, it'll be fine.
See, I don't know if that's intentional. You called him PYL. And I think that's very apt, to be honest, because there's a lot of times I'm like, P, why are you there in that tri-push warding and then dying for no particular reason? And why did you push up and lane and die like that? But again, kill went over to Cat.
And the reminder, of course, that the most important thing about these 2 games is that these teams are kind of learning to build on their fundamental blocks. And as I say that, though, we're setting up for another gank. I'm just excited. I'm excited they want to kill each other. I hate when we get in and teams are, you know, going through the growing pains, trying to find the synergy in the roster, and they're just scared to make plays. Nuh-uh. Not today.
No, Regang's just waiting in the bush for XX, ready to chase him down, but here comes the rest of the team, dodging out of the flick, but he may still go, no, point blank kill, he gets the health back, Yuki joins in with that one, de-skulled, and that's going to be a kill in return, Pocket Missile comes up, but Yuki, can he get in range? Oh no, Goong hits the wall, and Yuki will find his second.
I don't know if Yuki was trying to just let the ignite time out there, it felt like a bit of fancy footwork. He's just like, is he going to hit the blast cone? Is he going to go? Will he die in midair? I don't think anyone was sure.
No, I mean, what he's sure of now is that he's found 2 kills in the mid lane. He found no assists in that initial skirmish in the level 1, but with those 2 kills, gets the serrated Dirk and also an extra longsword. This is a very happy Zed.
And it's also a very happy Kindred, because Talia, without having Flash available, especially if she runs into dueling Kindred, because you already saw this. Look at how confident Regank is to find this type of skirmish, because she has so much mobility to get around Talia's windows of power. Which, also a very nice Flash. This is what I find weird. Because he's potting up, and Yuki's like, do I let him go? Because he would have survived that if he had gotten over the wall.
Yeah, I understood it from Yuki because he was very close to getting Skull back. I believe it was maybe 1 or 2 auto attacks, so he was trying to avoid giving him the skull. Yeah, but at the same time, you're totally right, he would have gotten away. But I think he also may have been scared he might die.
I just think that there was a lot of things that were unsure there, and I think that's also why Kled has made such a splash right now on the global scene, because people just really don't know what this champion does, and they don't really know how to play around Skarl, which is, again, the difference between the good Kleds and the great Kleds is how you're using that Skarl and those windows of power to bait people into engagements that you know you're going to win. But that means you need to understand your limitations better than the enemy.
Very, very true, as we have the 2-man invade coming in here. Regank and Yuki. Well, it looks like Yuki's going to go back towards mid lane, while Regank will try and put some more pressure down onto the enemy jungle. Now, first time I'm seeing Regank here in the LPL. Of course, he did come over from the LCK. Had a couple games on Griffin. He also used to be called Gangster, which I think is a much better name in my opinion. Precision Tree going to be primary with Domination second here. Got the triple tap coming in from Press the Attack. And of course, Domination, sudden impact makes a lot of sense in the bottom lane. PY getting chased down. Cat's going to munch down, do a lot of damage. Oh! Finds the flick, and once again, somehow Cat finds the kill.
PYL just cannot help himself. He always has to be forward. He always has to be looking for the trades. He can't just neutralize a lane. It's almost like he doesn't want to win it. He has to kill you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel that, but in the end of the day, Cat will actually find the kills. I'm sure in both of those opportunities, there was a chance for it not to go to Cat. But Cat just somehow, he just finds these kills. Not just in this game, but in every single game I see him.
But again, it just comes back to this idea that PYL should look at that lane, should look at this jungle and think, like, okay, this is a kill lane. I know I don't have my Summoner Flash. It's just now come off of cooldown. There's no reason for me to play this aggressively. My responsibility to the lane is to be there for the Black Shield and make it so that Y4 doesn't have to give up experience or gold. So why aren't they playing the lane like that?
PYL. As he's looking at the mid lane now, looking for another gank. He's level 3. I bet he uses his flash offensively. Watch this. Oh, no. Okay. Learning from past mistakes.
That was clever, though. Hide it through the terrain.
Yeah, yeah. Means there's a very limited time that you can actually try and dodge that one.
Interact
Regank,
with it.
Putting the mark down on XX. Always put it on the enemy jungler.
Regank's been everywhere so far.
Oh yeah, he's living up to his name for sure. 6
minutes of this game, I've actually been quite impressed with him. Now, a reoccurring problem or issue, I think he made it over that wall.
He did.
With LG right now is that Amy and PYL just don't have a lot of synergy. And hold on.
Y4 now pressing forwards, has to flash away from the Never move. And again, another flash down, another summoner gone from the LGD bottom lane.
At this point, they just need to hard push it in and then just buy up some of that time on the summoner spells with the back.
Well, Jinu caught in that one, but instantly flashes away into the charge. And Regank, he was like, hey, I was here, buddy. But at the same time, it was a level 6 Darius, so that could have gone very wrong very quickly.
However, they are pulling Yuki. He does have a clear shot up this river because of good control ward usage. You can actually see that the control ward was picked up from the pixel brush and then placed in the brush just underneath the top lane tower.
Regank finds himself another mark, and he is maybe a camp and a half away from level 6. So very, very happy with how this early game has gone. And LGD 4-0. They just need the bot lane to just chill out a little bit. Luckily, their perfect timings are coming up shortly, so that should be one way to get out of a sticky situation in the next couple minutes for them.
Yeah, that's what we need. More stopwatches.
Hey, I mean, again, this is the LPL. Remember when stopwatch was the thing to go towards for everybody? We were using them aggressively, man. We were looking for the tower dives.
And that's the key thing for me. It's the aggressive use of the stopwatch versus the defensive use. In PYL and Y4's case, I feel like it is a very defensive use, which makes sense. Again, you're looking across from a Trundle and a Swain. So much CC. Very hard to get away from, especially if you don't have appropriate vision, creating a safety net for you down on that bottom side. Now, I will say that good job. You have placed a control ward in your river, but it's still really shallow against the likes of a Talia, especially when she's level 5. She's going to have access to the level 6 pretty soon, and that's not deep enough to prevent any sort of gank.
Excuse me, Tisha. There seems to be a problem. Yuki has Duskblade at 8 minutes. Yep.
He's real big.
This is a gigantic Zed.
That's my ace analysis.
Yeah.
There.
70 farm. 69
and
actually. Nice.
What that's going to translate into is Kindred and Zed going hunting.
You know what they say about curious cats? Gonna shake the brush and instantly dies to Regank. Now chase down onto Choo Choo. Nope, they're gonna be fine with that one.
And we're really getting a taste to why Kindred has suddenly really cropped back up. It's not just the fact that Score came in and flexed on the champion, it's that she really thrives in everything that you need in this meta. Her access into the river, her ability to skirmish, and how she's denying a lot of these bruisers or these assassins compositions. Look at all of the range on TOP's lineup. You know, they don't really have any ranged champions. They're all melee, they're all bruiser. They must walk up into you, and so Lamb's Respite, when that's time, can really mess with them. And then if you have oh, hold on.
What?
This is what I was talking about.
Build on the wall, and Y4's on the wrong side of it. Goodbye.
As I said, you don't have deep enough vision to do that. Where LGD need to move their vision, of course, is that they need to use this Duskblade Zed, as well as their very powerful Kindred, and start blitzing into TOP's jungle, placing vision behind the Dragon Pit. We call that usually the Silk Road in the LPL, and making sure that they can spot out Talia just like you would a Nocturne when they're preparing for that long-range ultimate.
I think the biggest thing about this game is there's been so much back and forth. Like, typically when you see a Zed who's this big, you're like, it's probably GGFF at 15, but...
Not if he doesn't move!
Again, yeah, he doesn't move. There's been pressure down to the bottom lane over and over and over again, and it's actually the bot lane that is just bleeding out right now. Chocho with a kill, 2 kills on Cat. He's pretty happy with how this early game has gone. And again, an early Rod of Ages. That was, I think, a 9-minute 30 Rod of Ages coming in from Chocho. He just completed it, moving now back into the bottom lane. And
it's a very different look than what we saw from LGD the last time that we saw them play in a best-of-3 series. Their first 15 minutes of the game looked so clean. Formulaic, systematic, very easy compositions to execute. I feel like even though the Zed's not running the Smite, it's kind of the same mentality as a Smite Talon mid, in that you have control over the wave, you constantly see that he's pushing the Kled in, he gets the early rotation, and it's about this moment. Setting up the wave because you have the Orianna, so you're able to shove in, so you should always have a wave crashing onto the enemy tower, unlocking the Zed, and then threatening with the dive. So even though you don't get the kills on the tower, you at least get massive chip damage on the structure.
I mean, right now, Regank is just doing everything for the team. He's just everywhere all at the same time. He's in the bottom lane. They're about to secure first tower of the game and give full gold over to Y4 at that. And this is 600 gold to him. And this is what LGD have really figured out, how to run these style of compositions. So constantly look for this. A pushing bot laner, so either a Taliyah, a Zoe, or in Y4's case, an Orianna. He plays the Orianna quite well. A mid laner who's all about shoving in and having assassination potential, and then having that stronger 2v2 in jungle mid lane. And they just use that to abuse the bottom, then rotate towards the top side and start snowballing these towers down, which we know, LGD, you can do that. That should be what they try for this game now. But what do you do past that? At 15 minutes, how do you then close the game? I mean, that's also the Suning Gaming question, right? They have a crazy good early game. They get leads against pretty much all of the top teams. Like, I watched them do it against Rogue Warriors just a couple days ago. And then it's like, okay, well, then how do you close? They did great in Game 2 against Rogue Warriors, but again, same question for LGD, and that's the unknown for us.
Which is why I actually really like the Jinnu pick of having the Ornn. Normally, for Jinnu, they give him something like a Mundo has kind of been the recent go-to. You've seen some of the Senj cropping up. With Ornn, you have that ability to end a game without much thought process there. You just line up the Ornn ultimate, you put a shockwave on top of it, hopefully you kill people and you grab something.
Ooh, Yuki. There goes the pop, but I mean, that is pretty much in a nutshell why the Kled matchup is quote-unquote good into the Zed, even though he just heavy lost that one, is because with Skull, you have the pop and then it makes you immune for a little bit, so it's very difficult to actually kill the damn Kled once he's de-skulled. But still, pressure into the mid lane means that Regank gets access into the enemy jungle, reaction play again from XX, it's the knock-on and ripple effect now happening from LGD's mid lane.
But there is a counterplay here, and we do have to remember that TOP have access to the Rift-Herald as well as to the bottom side of the map. If Taliyah and Trundle want to, they could see that LGD have put multiple members up into the top side, and they make the decision, we're going to go bottom and we're going to pressure this tower. So now Jinnu needs to recognize this and get the hell out of dodge, which, there he goes. Good cross-map communication.
Good dodging. Oh, here comes Shelly. This is going to be a big one.
Yep.
I don't know how healthy the bot lane tower is, actually.
But what this does is this puts pressure on LGD. So are they going to commit to waiting for this wave to stack in and trying to force the top tower down? Because they're going to be slow behind Shelly, and she's going to get a second charge on an inner structure. Tempo advantage is actually massively to TOP, and LGD are not set up on the map appropriately. They must just respond to this instead of trying to trade for it.
This is going to be big, yeah. Shelly gets his second charge right here, knocks that one down to half, and there's a minion wave there. Here comes Jinnu's ultimate, just to really clear out the wave and just say, please leave. Whoa, okay, that's a lot of damage coming out of Yuki. Turns out he still has that Dust Blade. Yeah, he's going to chase them down, but still die to the demonic Birdman. It's going to be another kill over to them, and Jinnu now on the run. Oh, hello. That's not what he wants whatsoever. Jinnu completely caught up in the undertow. Here comes Gung, and that's going to be a kill yet again over to the Swain.
And that is actually some of the orange changes coming through. The fact that he had to flash so he could reach because it was denied by, what, 550 to 500? If it was 550, he probably wouldn't have had to flash there. It meant that he could have gotten the kill and then gotten out. So boom, there you go, 8-13, you got him.
Yep, all on that, and really was just dissuading. Yuki was like, oh, hey, I do a lot of damage. XX pops the perfect time at the very end there and is able to flash away, and Jinnu's just in way too deep.
And this is what we were also talking about, the fact that it put LGD between a rock and a hard place, good call by TOP to recognize that LG were taking way too long to set up on the top side of the map. You can see that while all of that action happened, they did manage to take down that top tier tower, but did get a second charge on an inner structure. So still a big win for TOP.
You know, I honestly wonder how much of the shot calling is actually coming out of Regang, because I'm watching him just on the play counts, and this guy it just isn't stopping talking. He's just constantly talking, his mouth is constantly going, and maybe he's just literally corralling, and he's just playing an RTS right now. It's like, hey guys, I'm from Korea, I play RTSs at the same time, and I'll just like control all of you while also playing my own character. And he's doing so much for the team right now, even setting up again in his mid lane with 2 other people behind him.
I mean, it does feel a bit disingenuous to attach Regang to all of the success that Griffin had performed, even though that's where he came from, simply because he wasn't really involved in a lot of their rise to power. But naturally, they probably saw something good about him there to have him.
Nice to have on the resume.
Where are we going?
Yeah, I mean, that's... okay. All right, Goon's going to flash after a find. Oh, no. Jinnu, he's walking away. He's waddling away. Oh, what a disaster. Right, none of that is on Goon. Let it be said right now, none of that is on Goon. XX's wall destroyed him. He had to repath all the way around it, and XX did not drop the wall.
That is one of the greatest interactions I think I've ever seen. Thank you so much for that, TOP. Woo!
Yeah, this is why, as every Kled player ever will look at someone on their team who has player-created terrain and be like, please no.
It was as he was trotting by on Skull that he just made eye contact with him. This is your doing.
Yeah. I just imagine like the
moment.
turn while he's riding Scar. It's like, come on, man. Why? Just drop the wall. It wasn't even like it was that useful of a wall.
Oh, look at him on the player cam.
The thing is, I like that he doubled down on the play as well, because he still tried to flash after Jinnu after all of that. Still didn't get the kill, so bit of a disaster in terms of the execution right there. And again, LGD have essentially diffused that situation. Top tower did go down, yes, but has a lot of time spent by 3 members, while Jinnu was like, okay, I guess this is fine. And then the rest of his team, I believe, took a dragon on the opposite side of the map.
And the fact of the matter is that I don't expect either of these teams, either TOP or LGD, to be able to close off of, you know, early game snowballs into mid-game competence, because they just don't have the consistency in their individual decision-making, such as what we just saw happen top lane, what we've seen PYL do all of his laning phases. You know, it's just kind of these massive errors that better teams in the LPL or more top-heavy teams are able to experiment with and punish them for. But I expect that when it comes down to it, when we have these big 5v5s that we're probably going to end up having, that we're still going to have some kick-ass mechanics and really cool moments, because there are still talented players on both these rosters.
Again, that's the storyline you can say about pretty much every team in the LPL.
It's always got going for us.
But that's one of the reasons why some of these lower of the table teams, whoa, hello, Chocho is going to go right into that perfect timing, and Yuki about to get run over right there. Cat will find the kill once again somehow, because he'll keep doing that.
Individual decision-making errors.
But mechanics on fleek.
Yeah, look at that perfect timing, right at the perfect moment.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know how Cat keeps managing to get these kills. He didn't even ignite him. He was just like close to him, and he died, and he got kill credit.
It's when he presses tab and he's like, come on guys, why aren't we winning harder?
Yeah, I'm 3-1-2 right now. 5k ADA, step it up, team. When they get the counter push. Oh, the minion wave is dead, however. But so is Yuki, so that's fine.
I'm not quite sure why we're sitting in this ARAM right now, but I think they've figured it out. They're like, this probably isn't going to go anywhere with Morgana, and Orianna's still relatively high health with a lot of mana.
Yeah, this isn't a Howling Fist at all. Cat's going to clear out this ward, and Yuki, you make me sad. You know why, Yuki?
Why?
Well, it's because you had a dust blade at 8 minutes, and you've not done a whole lot with it. You've died twice since then, and that's pretty much it. What? PYL was in the river at some point, and is no longer in the river.
That is the most quintessential PYL I've ever seen. Yeah. So this happens a lot, and again, we talk about this a lot. If you've ever watched an LGD game, it's probably sounding like a broken record. I'm so sorry, but until those moments stop happening, if you're the LGD coach, that's what you go to. You pull up the whiteboard and you just circle this moment. You're like, why are you here alone?
Freeze frame.
You might be wondering why I'm not here with a mid laner, my ADC, or a jungler. To which then I say, I've gone through 3 junglers and this still is happening. Maybe I'm the problem.
Not possible. Like every good bronze solo queue player who
You're
is a
the
Yasuo
only
main,
variable.
I just have a bad team, man. But yeah, PYL, stop doing that, please. It's every single game he'll just walk into the enemy jungle without vision, without knowledge.
But this is the perfect window to, again, take that magnifying glass and put it back on LGD. We said first 14 minutes of LGD, They know how to do it. Yep. They have the composition. They can run this playbook. They take down the top tower. They start rotating their Orianna around, sieging up structures. This is when things get dicey for them because it's all about that vision war, that vision control, and making plays in these side lanes, which they're going to go for.
Horn. And up comes the wall.
But they do it with imperfect information. So then they commit a lot of resources, find themselves overextended, and possibly getting punished because they don't have the vision.
Charging in, Yuki on the firing line right now. He's going to jump into the back lines and juke it out right there. Here comes PYL into the fight as well. Massive Soul Shackles comes in. Goong is dead. He's going to be a difficult one to get through, and he's already out of there. Now it's a bit of a wait as PYL trying to disengage with his team, but Y4 caught on the wrong side of the wall right there. He's going to go down and lands for a spite. Buys a bit of time, Cat running away from Yuki. He'll fall to the Force Lightning. Now Jinnu is the only one left alive. He's getting chased down underneath this tower, and Lies shows no sign of stopping because they'll find him on the blade right there, and Jinnu unable to get past the wall that has been created. That's a 5 for 2.
And the minion wave is coming in. The gold lead will swing heavily, and now TOP will capitalize on what they started 10 minutes previously with Shell and getting that charge on the inner structure. So massive swing for TOP. They now have so much more control over the top side of the map because their minions will constantly be pushing on the bottom.
I mean, what a disaster from what looked like a very good start for LGD. They take down the Kled and like perfect, and then it all goes wrong. Reganks like throws down the ultimate, they avoid multiple kills, and then they die.
Because look at their map. I understand that everyone wants to pay attention to the fight, but look at where Talia and Kled came from. It's entirely dark. Again, they're not placing the appropriate vision to play these side lanes, so they end up in these situations where they overextend for kills. Suddenly the charge comes in, the Talia wall comes in, and LGD are playing on the back foot, retreating towards their own towers, not managing their waves. The bottom wave has been stacked all the way up, and suddenly not only do they lose the team fight, but they lose so much more because their map is hemorrhaging.
Feels bad, man, when you're alone in that situation. Also got wrecked by pathing, but again, another Y, and this time Y4, because, as you said, Deep Teleport found himself on the wrong side of the fight. Ends up getting assassinated. Okay.
Flick of the wrist. Wards, standing on a control ward. Yep. Doesn't see where his opponent is.
Wards save lives, and they also killed him. So remember that. That's probably one of the first bad things I've actually seen from Regan this entire game. Here comes the on-horn for the disengage, but Yuki's gone in once again. Bane of his existence, the fact that perfect timing and Zhonya's exists. Now we're like, oh, why is Zed not in the meta? That's probably why.
And here's good news, is that the mid tower is still standing, so they have at least kind of this one bastion of a pivot point to continue to play around and try to stall out the game. At this point, though, they need to get some more gold into Yuki's back pocket, and they need to start playing these side lanes and playing them with proper vision and safety.
That's what you want to see, but so far TOP have managed to wrestle control over this game. We have a big Darius, and we actually get to see the damage in that last game. That is also the old splash shot for Swain. Interesting. 4,200 damage coming out from him. And yeah, he was basically in the middle of that scrum for the entirety of the fight, and was putting out maximum DPS, so it makes sense.
I do really like Swain's old haircut. I feel like it was much more, a bit crisper.
Yeah, I mean, there's things about new Swain and old Swain I both like. I prefer his old lore, but I think that new Swain does it well.
Set a trap.
1 versus 3. Let's see what you can do. Yuki taking on Cat, and he will not be victorious, as Goong will be the one to find the kill.
And so we talked about how Zed wants to get out into these side lanes, how he needs to have kill pressure there. You're absolutely right. He does that, but he doesn't have the safety net. He can't see how deep the Kled is. He can't see where the Talia is. And constantly, TOP just have a great read on everything that LG want to do and are beating them around every single corner.
Yep.
LG are just locked out of this game right now.
Just permanently have the setup on them. Pretty much the hard read. And Yuki, he's got 2 penetration items in that last team fight. He also did about 4,000 damage, but unfortunately in these situations, getting caught is not great.
Who is he going to kill? That's the issue, is that they can't play the team fights. He almost can't play a side lane now, even if he wanted to. There's no viable kill threat. He can't go on the Kled, he can't go on the Swain, he can't go on the Darius. Maybe you get the Talia?
She's got Zhonya's too, so it's awkward. You have to burn the Zhonya's first.
You're donezo.
Yeah.
You're finished.
And that's ultimately the problem with Zed right now, is because it's so easy to access the perfect timing or Zhonya's Hourglass. There's so many mages in the meta, the fact you can have 2 or 3 on your team, and it's totally okay. It's annoying.
Which means now instead of playing the duelist in the side lane, he needs to play the annoyance in the side lane. So we'll see if LGD can buy enough time holding these structures for Zed to actually make a viable wave for TOP to respond to and kind of alleviate the pressure.
And for now, though, it looks like we are disengaging again. We had our go at the Howling Abyss, and TOP were like, oh, no, wrong map. Let's go back to base and spend all of our gold. That's Umbrella and Omicron, just picked up by Chocho, however, 5-0-6.
This is actually dangerous for TOP. They don't have a lot of members here.
This is really bad. Cat has been caught. He has 8 lives remaining, but there goes one of them.
Having information that Darius is bottom, LGD felt incredibly safe. Good shockwave.
Shockwave over the wall. XX going to be caught on that one. He's going to jump away from that with his flash. But now we have a recall from Jinu, because guess what? Who is in the bottom lane? It's Lies.
Lies on the one champion that he's really only able to play.
But no one's banning away from him. We say this about Fen all the time, and how many weeks did it take? He basically lasted an entire spring split, and it took him 4 weeks for people to be like, wait, he only plays Aurelia. And then they were like, okay, now we put in a new mid laner. Hello, Angel.
I mean, at what point do you want Lies in there playing the one champion that he's good at before Marn comes back and plays all of the other champions? I think it's just disrespect.
Maybe it is. But so far, his Darius performances have been pretty good. 1, 2, and 6 in this game. He is currently leading in the top lane. But more importantly, we have to take a look at the carries. 10,000 gold over to Chocho. Mid lane, Yuki was so far ahead, but now he is 9,000 gold, which is still ahead, but not as good as it used to be.
His identity and responsibility have just changed for this competition. As we said, he's just got to be super annoying right now, as opposed to threatening.
His goal is to be a Mosquito.
Feels like the real carry these days is going to be between Jinu and Y4 in the Orianna-Ornn combination.
I'll tell you what, you can actually be a good Mosquito. Oh no, no, PYR, not again. This time it came with a Black Shield. Now, the other day, I don't know if you've seen this episode of One Punch Man where he's trying to kill a Mosquito. I watched Dom try and do the same thing. Hilarious, by the way. Dom, pretty built guy. A lot of force behind his palm, right? Literally slapped a Mosquito on the wall and the Mosquito flew away. So, Yuki, I want you to be that type of Mosquito. Be very annoying, but don't die.
Mosquitoes kill more people than anything else on the planet.
I'll tell you what, it's been killing my feet recently. The Asian mosquitoes do not like me.
I think it is actually just the highest of compliments if you are a mosquito, because you might be the most deadly thing in the planet.
Also true. The other thing is, only the females bite. So it's also a compliment, at the same time.
I'm learning all sorts of mosquito facts with you.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about mosquitoes because they're the bane of my existence currently.
Hold on, trap being set up. PYL, this is your chance. The one dark binding to end all dark bind. No.
They've fully disengaged.
Next time on.
LGD, try and win the game.
Well, we talked about how this composition has, non-committal CC that should make it easier that once they do feel confident attempting to end the game. That's all I got.
Yeah. We've stalled out a lot of focus, as you can tell. Both teams are just dancing around the Baron in the mid lane.
Here we go.
Cracked on Horn. Quarter Forge God finds 2. Follow up with the binding. That's looking good. But Cat, he's the only one under attack right now. He'll finally die, but Chocho goes into his golden form. Yuki on the backside looking for a kill, and finally the Swain will die. Yuki on the run, and he's being charged down by a Kled. Oh, just kidding. You can't actually chase me when I do this. Yuki running around in circles, and Lai is still on the front line for the rest of the team. This is the dumbest fight, while also simultaneously the best fight at the same time, because XX jumps off the walls looking for another onto PYL. Turned around out of the Zhonya's. He goes down. XX for another kill. Goong now chasing out Jinny with Lies. Get over here! Oh no, Jinu splashed away. Lies is coming for the long haul. He's going to run all the way around, and Jinu is slowly waddling away. This is not what we'd call a high-speed chase, but it is a chase. We are on a motorway, and we're so close to actually landing skill shots.
He's in the white Bronco. He can go the distance.
He's dead, folks. Down for the count.
Well, the circus came to town. It wasn't Cirque du Soleil. It was the one with the ride where you're kind of concerned to get on it, but you think, $5. Why not take it for a spin?
I mean, why not? Good use of 30 minutes of my time. I can't tell who won that. I think it was TOP.
That team fight was interesting because LGD started it and TOP finished it. Whenever that happens, poor decisions were made. I think Yuki might have been the prime suspect there. He decides to dive. So Yuki's going to be on the top side here.
Yep.
Okay, let's just give credit to Jinu, to PYL. They did their job. They set up the shockwave. Massive damage comes through. But check out Yuki. He decides to go into the backline to try to zone out 2 people. Looks good, gets the exhaust, but he doesn't find the kill. And he's not really there to help his team clean up, and meanwhile Lies then is 1v3. It's a 1v3, it's a 1v2. Yep. I guess Lies is the more successful of the two because the 1v2 gets away and suddenly XX is in the fight. It's hard. We're going to have to watch this one about 7 more times.
Yeah, there was a lot going on right there. I mean, I was following one fight, but the other one was actually Darius teleporting in and then being like, please stop kiting me. And there's like 3 people surrounding him just poking and dogfighting, CC cheering him.
Get him!
Yeah, eventually his team caught up so he could actually, you know, do Darius things, but he was having a real rough time in there.
It was very strange to watch.
Yeah, it definitely was. But TOP still won. Hey, we can see the damage again. Swain just up there, almost 5k. Beat his last number. This time is actually Y4 putting out the consistent damage.
And showcasing why the priority pick of the Swain is the hot fire right now in the LPL.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, no, not like this. Oh, he's found on the flick. He's dead. Flies on the front lines. He's found Regank over the wall. Oh, Kled's going to follow. He finds the second half of the charge. And Jinu's also going to fall on this one. TOP find 2. Coming into the Respite and Y4. No, I don't want any of this. Please, no. I'm down into my perfect timing. And I'm dead.
You just cannot get away from this meat grinder. It just walks right up onto you, places the Trundle Pillar on one side, and then just smashes you against it. TOP, while Regank is still alive, has access to the Smite. He doesn't have access to the Blast Cone. He's nowhere near the pit, and it looks like with Choo-Choo zoning that it should be a free Baron.
Yeah, to put this game in context for you folks, we're 30 minutes in and we have 33 kills. Yep. And we have a Baron going down over to TOP, going back to base and buying all of those fantastic items for themselves.
I've always wanted to cast a solo queue game.
Yeah, well now you get the opportunity to. It just so happens that LGD and TOP all managed to find themselves in the same game.
And what's interesting is the discussion about is TOP's success coming from the fact that they've moved over from the Eastern into the Western Conference, or is it because, you know, fundamentally they have gotten better as a team? Now, we do see in their roster that they've changed up a couple of their key pieces. You know, normally when people think about Topsports, they think about Marn if they're going to think about them at all. And Marn hasn't been the player. It has been Lies primarily, almost playing twice as many games, but obviously because of his signature pick of that Darius, and Darius being very strong in the meta right now. So, I don't know. I'm kind of not sold one way or the other. There's definitely weaker competition, but as they rock up back into the cross-conference, this is kind of the make or break for them. Yeah, we expect them to take down LGD. They're probably the weakest team in the LPL right now, but if they continue to take down these teams, if they continue to slide up in cross-conference, then maybe TOP really have evolved and they're the real deal.
I mean, a win's a win, right? At the end of the day, like, no matter how they get there, is it about the journey or is it about the destination? Because currently TOP are getting a whole lot off the destination.
I just feel like it's a question of, are they still a Squirtle or have they become a War Turtle?
Fair. I was going Smash Bros, you were going Pokemon. I mean, both of those things can combine. I dig it. LGD drawing the line in the sand here in front of their inhibitor tower. But here comes TOP. They have Baron. Not a cannon wave, though. And the Ornhorn comes through. It's going to be caught in the flick real quick. Follow through, finds the unstoppable on that one.
Excellent use of the Trundle Pillar right there. Cat has just been so on point. I love the pick of the Trundle into the Ornn. It was one of their last picks that they showed. And like you see it every single time. As soon as the Ornhorn comes out, you hear it go, the Trundle Pillar comes down, and it just refuses any sort of follow-up on the Ornn ultimate knockup. So great soft counter option.
Yeah, been really. I mean, Cat has just been playing well all game, especially from the early phases. Goong is now split pushing in the bottom lane, and he didn't clear out all those wards. No, Cled's going to walk up, and there's no backdoor protection. And Kled has complete ward the enemies off, courtesy of XX, and now he's actually just onto the inhibitor. Look, he's actually drawing attention from Regank, who's in the bottom lane, and then Yuki, who's in transition, because he can actually transition a lot easier than everyone else, who doesn't really have dashes. And Y4 is actually caught between that wall. I don't know if TOP realized that was the case.
LGD are just waiting for the Ornn ultimate to come back up and then hopefully try to minimize the bleeding, although TOP could end it now.
Here comes a Kled into the back lines. Once again, PUR has the flash away, but he is dead. Cho-Cho jogging after. He's going to slice and dice up those front lines. Good shockwave, but no damage behind, unfortunately, and TOP are going to say thank you very much for the Lance Respite. We'll take that one to the bank. Cho-Cho's going to die, and maybe we're in a little bit too deep, because we may have just fought an entire team fight underneath 2 Nexus turret, but it's fine. We're going to find 2 inhibitors at the very least. Goong, he does have the Guardian Angel, but Regank wants it. Oh, he's going to jump after and try and find Skull. Oh, he's got it! Regank, that was a mistake, my friend. He has learned the error of his ways. Lies does not find his apprehend. And now he's going into a Stair-X. I would like out of here, please. Up, team. Where are we? Oh, no, I'm going to pop my ultimate. I have no stacks.
Goon has proven himself to be a good Kled player right there. Making sure that he flashes back in so he can get the Skarl, remount just in time, a sliver of health, and just trots away.
Yep, put him in the top 4 right there. The Kled Hall of Fame.
Get me some coconuts.
Yeah. Coconuts?
Yeah.
Why coconuts?
It's a Monty Python reference.
Oh. Boy. RGD in the top lane.
You're literally British.
I know. And the funny thing is, like, there are some things that, like, Knights of Ni, you know.
And I have a feeling that we've had this conversation before. Weren't you the person who was like, we should get a Monty Python Kled skin? Just have him mount Patsy with some coconuts.
I think it's Clement.
When would I cast with Clement?
I mean, he's over there. You can, like, send him a note. All right, let's take a look at this fight.
Via Swallow?
Pigeon?
Okay, you're still not getting it. It's fine. It's fine. So the game could have been ended here, but it was an excellent shockwave from Y4. Again, it's so unfortunate that he keeps losing on this Orianna, because if you watch him in a vacuum, he's actually quite talented at the champion, which isn't something that we associate with ADCs, although we come right back in, we're in another team fight. Calm down.
Oh, we're fine, it's all good. This is one of the interesting things. 6,500 damage. It's not even just a little bit, 6.6. Ornhorn once again finds 2, but can he actually secure a kill, LGD? So far the answer is a resounding no. Oh, hello.
Uh-oh.
Whoa, Chocho just gets deleted by Y4. That's that Orianna damage coming in once again as Gun comes flying in from stage left. But that's the pick, and that may slow down TOP once more. We've got major objectives spawning in at 80 seconds and 2 minutes from now.
But LGD need to take care of their base. I think that they might have to give this one up. They're just trying to slow down what feels like the inevitable. Starting to inch back a little bit, these team fights. Still, so much credit to Cat. I feel like he just has a perfect read on how to counteract this Ornn pick. LG have been able...
Oh, I don't want to be here anymore. Jin is completely caught from his team. Tries to walk back, but there's a pillar there now. Cat on point. And that will be a Darius kill in the bank. But Lies on the front lines. He was caught in place. He's looking for the resets, but there's no Darius time for him. No ball in the China shop. And PYL will walk this one off, hopefully. But there's still another 2 picks over to LGD.
Okay, the next damage graph needs to pop up. And I don't want to see any champions. I just want to see tower damage done to TOP champions. Because I feel like the 2 Nexus towers and that top tower have done more work than all of LGD this entire game.
Hey, if you get the towers involved, that's an 8 versus 5 instead of just the standard 5 versus 5, so it makes sense. But TOP are completely stalled out in this game. Every single time they go for a push, they die. They've managed to find 2 inhibitors, but we're getting to the point where LGD could mount a comeback.
Is it them being stalled out or them just being a little bit too playing with their food? Here comes the airplane.
It's the same thing, isn't it? Regardless of how... We talked about this.
I feel like
TOP
stalled
is about
out
the
implies
destination.
that LGD are holding the line.
I mean, when people stall out their cars, it's often their fault. You know what I mean?
I see.
Yeah.
They try to get into gear.
Yeah, it's not the passenger's fault, it's not the car's fault, it's the driver's fault. And TOP is the driver. And TOP, it is their fault. 20 seconds left on Baron. Elder Dragon has now spawned. LGD moving down into the river right here. Ooh, Phantom Binding on to Kled.
There's still hope, LGD fans. This roller coaster ride is not over. This game has gone out long enough.
Are we about to find the big drop on the roller coaster? Is that what?
That if they win this big team fight over Elder and then translate it into a Baron, that'll mean that their inhibs come back up, that they'd have another 2 chances at winning 2 team fights. Yuki doesn't want to be there.
It's fine, he's Zed. Is he the shadow? He's one with the shadows. He's born in those shadows.
Now TOP. This is a Doinby.
This is a Doinby. Oh, Yuki.
He's on the run.
I feel like
LGD,
maybe
go
we should have
Baron.
bet this one.
Go
yeah,
Baron.
no, he's stalling out 5 people,
go
but
Baron.
he's got extra time. He's on the 10 count. He comes back up. Oh, he flashes over the wall. Yuki's out of there. Where's the team? LGD, what are you doing? Oh, we're following mid-wave. Yuki, 1 versus 1 against XX, but he is getting pebbled to the back of the head. And TOP are going to run it down the bottom lane. And LGD are like, oh, we had an opportunity. And now we'll go back to base and probably lose the game.
Oh, the super creep wave is behind them. They've got massive wave. They're down 1 member. This could be the nail in the coffin, unless TOP want to take on all of LGD and the Nexus Towers again.
This is where we hold them, men. This is where we make it happen. 4 versus 5. It was prophesized that we would have an AD carry called Y4. Let's go. Regang jumps forward. Maybe not you to engage. He backs away. Regang, not re-engage. Jinu, what are you doing, buddy? Brings up the pillar. Cat thinking about this one. Oh, that's good. Onto XX. Oh, he whiffs the ultimate sombrero on the floor. Quarter Forge God finds XX once again. Y4 finds the assassinate. Here comes Goong and Lies. Regang goes into the respite.
They can
Jinu
do it.
Trying to grind them down. Y4 backing away. PYL blasted out from the Demon Man. He'll go into the Zonias once again. Jinu and Y4, can he make miracles happen? He backs away. Gung on top of Y4's face. He makes it back to the spawn pad, but they are stalling out.
Yeah, because Yuki has just come back up, and both the inhibitors came back up during that fight, which meant TOP couldn't just take down the Nexus Tower. They have held and survived.
Yuki jumps forwards, he's looking at Gung, but he seems to double interrupt, jumps into 3 once again, wants to jump away, but here's Y4. The damage is coming through from the distance, it's big. What lies? Lots of health back, but Yuki finishes them off. Kled down once.
Oh, he cancelled it.
A fighter, he's back for more. He's got Skull back, he's down again, and he's down again.
They could do Baron. They could do Baron.
They should do Baron.
It's risky.
Do it. You didn't do it before, just commit. Just, in the words of Shia LaBeouf.
Just do it.
Just do Baron.
They don't want to.
Pretty sure that was the quote. Yeah, LGD, come on. Let's make it happen. But we need to analyze what the heck happened when Yuki was in the bottom. Yes, because Yuki was in the bottom side by himself. He buys so much time, and LGD were literally farming mid-wave.
Hold on, though. We're not going to give a chance because LGD know that it's Elder Dragon, and they are racing over here. No Talia wall to block them off.
We're running in the 90s. We're running on some of this rift. Oh, Jinu jumps forwards into Chocho. It's almost good. Y4 is actually speeding him up the distance right there. Now we are onto the Elder Dragon Cat. He's chomping down on some cat food. But he would like to do maybe a bit more than this. It looks like TP actually just setting up for a potential steal. Elder Dragon's having none of it. It's going to reset for a hot second.
He'd
down
have to
to,
flash.
oh, it's gone. Regang with the confirm, and LGD have Elder.
Yeah, and the big thing is again, because their inhibs came back up, it's just the mid lane that they need to be concerned about. Yuki has made it his responsibility that he's going to clear it out. They now have the Elder Dragon. It gives them the team fight buff that they could possibly walk into Baron, or at least be conscientious of the area and try to fight TOP. LGD, because TOP force-fed into that Nexus Tower, actually have a viable chance at winning this game.
Hashtag Cirque du Soleil win. I can't tell what's going on in this game anymore. The inhibitor, it's almost going to respawn.
Okay, now what the Observer's trying to point out here is that there is a deep TP ward, so there's a possibility that TOP just try to run it. Oh god.
I have selective sight.
They don't have
They're running
minions,
it down mid. They are
so
literally running it down mid.
They have to tank.
They're running it down mid. They need to tank, but Lies can do it. He's a very tanky Darius. Where the recalls? There is. There's a core Baron. They've got enhanced recalls.
Oh, no.
It's only down to Hob. TOP, I don't think they've got enough time. Here comes the Forge God. Oh, no, you've got to focus on the Nexus. Because LGD, how fast can they kill them? They are turning onto the Nexus. And Chocho, he's buying time. Oh my god, TOP! You're absolutely insane, and I love it. TOP, take game 1.
Oh my god! Musical chairs. We made it, boys. Yeah, big smiles. Kun's like, I know. I know.
I mean, in the end, just embrace Kled, I guess, if you're in the LPL, and just run it down mid lane. Doesn't matter about Baron, doesn't matter that we're being hit in the face. Just go for the Nexus, tunnel vision, and take it down.
I will say this, that was the difference of two decisions, two key decisions in that game, because there were a plethora of mistakes. It was ping pong, we were going back and forth, who was going to come down with the ball. TOP had it for, a good 90%, but still not on their best form, not on their best behavior. But it came down to it. Yuki was caught out, had 30-second stall time, and LGD could not commit to the Baron. They didn't know, are we going to the Baron? Are we collapsing to Yuki? Are we grabbing the bot wave? They were indecisive. TOP see that ward for a split second.
And what do they do?
Immediately charge, immediately teleport, and immediately end the game. So credit where credit is due. TOP, the more decisive team, the more consistent team, take the win.
Shot calling is really what it is, because, I look at every single individual member of LGD and I'm like, great job, Yuki, strong in the early game, great in the bottom lane there, stalling up the team. Regang, fantastic. Bouncing from mid to bot, constantly getting these ganks tracking the enemy jungler. Great. Y4 in the fights again. Jinu in the top lane. Like, with just great things coming out on the individual level from LGD, but as a team, I'm just not feeling it.
I've no response. That was a game. It's been a long time since I've seen a game like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't often use the word fiesta because I think it's just been memed to oblivion, but that was a fiesta.
I will say that it was a party, though. Like, that's a fiesta that you want to go to.
There was a pinata. There was
some sangria.
There was, yes, sangria.
Sangria.
Sangria. Yeah, everyone's having a great time. Everyone was a bit loose.
I definitely do know the trick.
Yeah, I think we would need a sangria at this point. Hopefully, we can just get it out to us as fast as possible. Yeah, we're gonna set it out. So take it away, guys.
Fun.
Have some fun.
Oh boy, we certainly intend to, and you guys just take a breath, calm down, it's okay, because the party still has to finish out with this best of 3. LGD dropping that game 1 as TOP. We've seen the strategy before, the Kled run down mid to end a game, literally just rushing the Nexus, because again, that's how you win in League of Legends. Destroy the Nexus, not win a team fight, not take Baron, not 2 Elders, destroy the Nexus.
That was my favorite Kled play. I'm a Kled main myself, and it's so potent on this patch because that Nexus does not have a lot of HP, and you can take your entire team with you. 60% movement speed buff and go straight into the enemy base. They do have the empowered recalls for their 4-second backing on LGD, but it's not enough. Look at the end of the fight. The big physical attack damage dealer in Goon is not touched. Everyone's going after Chocho, and he's just sitting in there whacking away at the Nexus, and we've got a 50-kill game on our hands.
Yeah.
I think we might have our first 100-kill series coming up.
Yeah, we very well could if the second game follows up anything like the first, but this game was... It was a party, to put things bluntly. It was all over the place from beginning to end, and we have to say that it wasn't quite as we expected. Regank stepped in for LGD as their new jungler, and in his debut match, he actually showed a very strong early game by constantly pressuring that mid lane, even ganking the top lane. And I believe he had like 3 attempted ganks bottom in 9 minutes, so already seeming to step up and fill that role for LGD. So it's good that we're seeing LGD try and grow, just this strategy might have been a little too far-fetched against TOP, who just dogpiled first one champion, then the Nexus.
And it's kind of like classical LGD. They do have good laning starts. We've seen this before from them. If you look down the roster, Jinu, Yuki, Y4, all these players are above average or at least decent players that you can expect to win lanes. But everything does kind of collapse when it goes towards the mid game for LGD like we commonly see. And I think 2 main factors you have to point out here is number 1, the God of Death himself. PYL. If there's a brush, he's going to face check it. And we saw it multiple times this game, 3 times in a row, at one point even, where it really gave TOP so much room to function and come back into the game.
Yeah.
The second thing I have to say is, team fight-wise, I just don't see LGD as being a very strong team. There's a reason they always all in into the Yuki strategy. Just give Yuki his best pick and pray to Lord Jesus Yuki that he will carry us. But you can see in those team fights, I actually think they had a lot of mishaps, and TOP outfought them in those.
It was actually Y4 who ended up putting out the majority of the damage for his team, but the moment Y4 ends up getting separated, the moment Yuki goes in and gets separated or exhausted, those 2 major damage sources are gone, and LGD start to fall apart. Y4 split from his team on the left, Yuki split on the right. And take a look at Chocho. He's got the Demonic Ascension, he's got the Demon Flare. Who would you rather have next to you when the Lamb's Respite goes off? A Darius Swain or a Morgana and a Zed?
Well, it depends on which team you're on, but in that instance, I think that Darius, he instantly got 2 executions right after the Lamb's Respite.
Yeah.
The HP gain wasn't enough to take them out of the true health execute, the guillotine from the Darius. Yeah, the guillotine right there from the Darius. And if you just look at that team fight, look at how uncoordinated LGD actually were. Yuki was on the wrong side of the map. I'm sorry, Yuki was took the Kled charge to the face and had to use his ultimate early, so no damage from the most fed member on the team. And then you look at Y4, he was on the wrong side
Teleports
of the
into
ramp.
the Talia on the other side of the enemy team with no way to save him.
And then dies instantly.
Yes.
So that's where LGD kind of falls apart, and that's what I was talking about. You know, you can have these great early games, but you still need a mid-game plan. You still need to close out after 30 minutes.
We did see them try to recover with that mid-game plan by trying to find a pick onto Cat and Chocho, but again, they just over-invested onto the wrong target. They managed to get the kill, but look at Chocho getting this Demon Flare off right as the respite finishes. Boom!
And the timing was just so good, and I think this is why TOP and Chocho are moving up the standings. He's actually a very good mage player, even as a marksman. Getting the Demonic Flare on 4 people pretty much ends the fight on the right side, while Yuki comes in again at a bad angle from the left side. So basically that was Chocho solo carrying that team fight. It could have gone very wrong, but again, you have to look at the LGD side as well. I think they focused the wrong target at the start. They tried to take down Cat. Most of their damage went there. And Yuki, instead of just moving in from the front, which you could have done there, tries to go for a flank to look for XX, never finds it, gets exhausted, finds Goon instead, and doesn't get his damage off in the team fight once more. So again, we're seeing the same things. LGD Good laning phase, good start. Team fight.
They got to get that mid game. They got to find that transitionary step. It looked a little bit better, I think, with Regank in that game. So perhaps he can continue to show us this performance in game 2. That said, it was his opponent XX who took our man of the match in that game 1 victory for TOP. 8, 6, and 14. 30% of his team's damage on that jungle Talia.
And he just stabilized the early game after that disastrous level 1. XS went into the bot lane, got so many kills off of Y4 and PYL. And in the later phases of the game, he did a lot of damage as well. As you can see, 30.2%, that's for the jungle. Yeah. That's not even a main carry.
Jungle Talia.
Not even a laner. So, just massive damage stats coming out from him. And I have to say it, XX has been the main improvement of TOP. We used to say this roster did not have the talent to compete. But after the growth, after he's ousted Karin from the main starting lineup, I think he's leading TOP into that possible playoff berth.
Yeah, well, now they're 1 game away from getting more wins in just 5 weeks than an entire spring split. Will the growth continue? We'll find out in just a few short minutes.
想要在这里生存下去，必须倾尽所有。